Ever feel like you're juggling a million things at once and just completely overwhelmed? Yeah, you are not alone. Today, we are cracking open a survival guide that has been an absolute game changer for millions. Sean Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Let's jump right in. Does this sound familiar? Does this hit a little too close to home? That feeling of being pulled in 100 different directions at once. It's a classic teen experience, and it's exactly the problem Sean Covey decided to tackle head-on in his book.
You know what's really interesting is this metaphor. The book says that maybe for your parents, their teen years felt like a playground, but for you, it's a full-on jungle. You've got the dense weeds of social media, the hidden traps of peer pressure, you constantly have to be on your toes. It really is a whole different world out there.
But here's the great thing about a jungle. You can totally learn to navigate it. You don't have to just be a passive observer getting lost in the woods. Nope, you can be the explorer, the one who finds the hidden paths and discovers all the amazing stuff this jungle has to offer. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you the tools to not just survive, but to absolutely thrive in it.
So, what's the #1 secret weapon for conquering this jungle? Well, it's something we all have, but honestly, very few of us really master, and that is the power of habit. They're like these invisible forces that are always pulling us in certain directions, sometimes for good, sometimes not so much. And Covey introduces this whole idea with a really cool riddle.
So think about it for a second. What is this thing that's a constant companion, always by your side? It can be your absolute best friend or your worst enemy. Any guesses?
The stakes could not be higher, right? This force has the power to build you up into something incredible or just completely tear you down. It's a total double-edged sword, and the choice of how you use it, that is entirely up to you. So who is this mysterious force? You guessed it, it's habit. All those little things you do every single day, almost without thinking, yeah, those are the building blocks of your entire future.
It's like a chain reaction, you know? A thought becomes an action, that action becomes a habit, that habit becomes your character, and your character, well, that becomes your destiny. But here's the most important part. You can break that chain. You are the boss of your habits, not the other way around.
Okay, so if we're in the driver's seat, we're going to need a map. We can choose to take the path of effective habits, the ones that lead to success and, being happy, or we can take the bumpy, dead-end road of what we'll call defective habits. Think about it. Hitting the snooze button 10 times versus waking up early to get a head start. Tiny choices, but they have huge consequences.
And here it is. This is the roadmap to a more effective, way less stressful life. These are the 7 habits that really separate the people who just survive from the people who truly thrive. We're talking about taking charge of your life, figuring out what's really important, working better with other people, and making sure you take care of yourself. This is your toolkit for success.
Now, this tree is the perfect way to picture how all these habits build on each other. See, you can't have a big, strong, healthy tree without having strong roots first. That's the private victory. It's about mastering yourself before you try to master your relationships with other people. You gotta build a solid foundation from the inside out.
Okay, but let's be real. For every superhero, there's a supervillain. And for every awesome, effective habit, there's a defective one that's usually, well, a lot more tempting. So let's take a quick look at the dark side of habits.
Let's start with #1. Be proactive. This is the huge difference between being the driver of your life and just being a passenger along for the ride. I totally remember in high school, I bombed a test, and my first instinct was to blame the teacher. That's being reactive. The proactive move would have been to own it and figure out, okay, how am I going to do better next time?
Next up, begin with the end in mind. This is all about having a North Star, a clear vision of where you actually want to go. It's the difference between sailing a boat with a destination in mind and just drifting out at sea, kind of hoping you end up somewhere cool.
And finally, we've got sharpen the saw. This is about taking time to recharge your batteries. Think about it. You wouldn't try to chop down a giant tree with a dull saw, would you? Of course not. Well, the same thing goes for your life. If you don't take time to rest and refresh yourself, you are going to burn out. It's just not sustainable.
But habits are only one part of the story. Underneath everything is something that might be even more powerful, your perception. It's kind of like you're wearing a pair of invisible glasses that colors everything you see. So the question is, what color are your glasses? Are they rose-colored, or are they maybe a little bit gray?
And just to see how powerful and sometimes how hilariously wrong our perceptions can be, let's take a little trip down memory lane. We're going to look at some of the most epic fails in the history of predictions. Get ready to laugh.
Let that one sink in for a second. The president of a major computer company said this in 1977. Talk about a massive blind spot. He just couldn't see the personal computer for the giant mainframes.
And then there's this absolute gem. A record label actually said this after hearing a demo tape from a new band back in 1962. And who was that band they were rejecting? Only the Beatles. Yeah. Ouch. Talk about a bad call.
So, what was going on with these so-called experts? Well, they were all suffering from a flawed paradigm. Paradigm is really just a fancy word for your point of view. It's your mental map of the world. And if your map is wrong, you're going to get lost. It's that simple.
And this is where it gets really, really personal. Because the most important paradigm you have is the one you have about yourself. If you truly believe you're bad at school, you'll start looking for evidence to prove yourself right. But here is the amazing thing. You can change that belief. You get to rewrite your own story. And that's the best news of all. You are not stuck with your paradigms. You can have what's called a paradigm shift. It's that aha moment, when the light bulb suddenly switches on and you see things in a completely new way. It's like going from an old flip phone to the newest smartphone. All of a sudden, this whole new world of possibilities just opens up. A paradigm shift is that moment when your whole perspective just flips. There's this great story about a woman at an airport who's getting really mad at a guy who keeps eating from her bag of cookies. She's fuming. And then, when she gets on the plane, she reaches into her own bag and finds her unopened bag of cookies. She'd been eating his the whole time. Have you ever had a moment like that, where you suddenly realized your whole take on a situation was just wrong?
So, what's the bottom line here? It's this. Your habits and your paradigms are two of the most powerful forces shaping your life. They are the architects of your destiny. So the real question is, are you going to be the one holding the blueprint, or are you going to let someone else design your life for you? The choice is yours. Now go out there and start building.